We'll call this meeting to order. It is 6 p.m. The regular council session for the city of Dalhart. Frankie, would you lead us in prayer?
Okay, let's pray. Our Father God, as we come before you this evening, Lord, first, we praise you and thank you for who you are and for the unbounding love that you have for each of us. We praise you and thank you for the blessings that you bestow upon each of us individually, as a community, as a city, Lord, and we just truly stand in awe at the things that you provide for us when we are so unworthy for any. And Lord, we just pray this evening, Lord, as we conduct this council meeting, Lord, that we do so in a manner that is pleasing unto you, that we look and search and understand that the actions we take are for multitude of people in this community, Lord, and not for individual. And we praise you and thank you that you give us the discernment and the wisdom to carry on the business of the city. And most of all, and greatest of all, we praise and thank you for the sacrifices you made for each of us on that cross. With your precious holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Now, if y'all will join us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States and to its flag. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Next item is the consent agenda with the minutes from the regular meeting from January 22nd of 2022.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Like all are in favor. I've got public comments and I do have one from Michaela Haskey. Just as a reminder, there's 3 minutes and we'll start the clock for you.
On behalf of the Dalhart Area Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center, we would like City Council to consider our original request for hot tax money of $114,372.90, about $17,817 more than we requested last year because of a few reasons. At the city's request, we hired additional staffing, allowing the visitor center to be open on Saturdays. Christy attended the Travel and Tourism in June of 2023 through Texas Travel Alliance and received certification. It is a week-long class in Bryan, Texas. This is a 4-year course to receive the certification. We also added additional billboards, digital billboards that are over 90 miles distance from Dalhart to promote tourism. I can hand you the budget the board of directors approved on February 2nd now, or when you discuss item 8 on the agenda. I ask that you consider that we are asking about 50% of expenses relating to staffing, utilities, and overall upkeep for the Chamber and Visitor Center, and 100% for billboard advertising. We attended the hot tax meeting held on February 6th. We were shown which expenses were approved with the recommended $74,000 in hot tax funds. With the new recommendation of $80,000, they took some of the original funds off and included the billboard advertising. The previously approved expenses that were taken off were now called ineligible. We understand that the hot tax committee is a recommendation source for city council on hot tax funding. We also recognize that city council makes the final decision for hot tax funding. So we request that when it comes to item 8 on the agenda, city council will reconsider the original amount of $114,372.90 requested by the Chamber and Visitor Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Michaela. We'll move on to the regular agenda. Item number 2, recognition of years of service for city employees Richard Daniel Gonzalez, Roberto Hernandez, and Bryce Jones. Do we have this Bryce? Okay. Bryce is a year. Agenda item number 3, staff update on online work order system.
Just wanted to give an update on, so we started utilizing a program through Teams, which is a Microsoft program that we already paid for through the Microsoft Outlook program, which all of our email, like and stuff come through. So we started using a work order system. So previously, the way the kind of work orders came in, so what we call work orders, a citizen makes a complaint on water. Someone calls in because the water meter is broken, it's what we call a work order. Before the way it was handled, it was written down on a piece of paper, given to the guys out in the field. And then we hope that paper didn't get ruined or ran over or blew out the window or anything like that and returned back to us. The odds of getting returned back to the city hall we tracked was pretty slim due to working conditions. So we moved a lot of the pickups, especially water, had iPads for them. So with this online system, we can put all this in the iPad. It dings their iPad when we assign it to them. They can take pictures, they can take notes, and it tracks it back to who did that. That way there's some accountability there and things like that. Still work in progress. We're still working on all the kinks and bugs, of course, and it's brand new software for us. But we've had pretty good luck with it so far. And I encourage anybody that has any problems with streaming like that to put it in online so it can get put on that system so we know what we're working.
So how do they do that? Can they go to the city website and can they make like an email?
A complaint form.
Okay,
And then it submits electronically directly.
okay.
There's a couple of us that get that system. Or they can come up here and, they can still fill out a form up here.
So even potholes?
Yes.
can be on there. Okay,
Water, all.
verify.
Any other question?
When did this new system go into effect?
We kind of did a soft launch on it probably 2 months ago. And we're hitting it pretty hard now. Probably have been for about the last week or two.
Because I requested some potholes filled on the 9th of November. They're still not done.
I'll have to look into it.
Appreciate that. All right. If you don't have anything else, we'll move on to item number 4. Item number 4, staff report on the validity, I wouldn't say that, training on current land use for the city of Dalhart Council committees and boards.
So, Identity will be here, or not be here, but they're gonna give a presentation starting at 11:30 on Wednesday. And, all of council has gotten, an invitation as well. You can do it on your own, like in your office, or you can come here. We do have some coming here, and, we'll provide lunch, and that's gonna be a presentation on the current and future land use for the city. So, I haven't had a lot of response, but if there are some of you that may think you're gonna show up, let me know, because we are gonna do lunch.
And then I think you sent the online link out.
I did. The online link went today.
Thank you, Christy. Item number 5, presentation by staff on the City of Dalhart Parks Community Assessment Project.
So most of y'all met Garrett this past weekend.
at our Northside Park event, but he is our new parks intern. That we are lucky to have with us for a few more months, and so he's working on projects at all 5 city parks, and I'm gonna let him take it from there.
So for all of you who have met me and who haven't met me, my name is Garrett Hubbard. I come to you guys from Arkansas Tech University in Russellville, Arkansas. There, I'm currently following for my bachelor's degree in park administration. It's a natural resource. Some of my credentials that I have, for instance, I was the president of the Arkansas Tech University Parks and Recreational Club, where we did a lot of outreach programs, volunteer hours, especially at state parks and municipal parks. My work experience, I've worked at municipal, state, and federal levels, all within about 4 years. My job and responsibilities as a park assessor intern right now, park designing, equipment research, and public communication. So I handle a lot of the assessments, equipment research, what can kind of go into the park, where to put it, what size to consider, and also with the public communication, I do a lot of the advertisement and the feedback gathering. So these are our locations that we have right now, our city parks. We just recently finished up our Northside City Park event back this past Saturday. Our next upcoming one we have is the swimming pool park. That will be on the 17th, this upcoming Saturday, from 1 to 3. All of our events are 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Then we have Kella Hill on the 24th, 7th Street Veteran Memorial Park on the 2nd. And then we take a 2-week break for spring break, and we come back for the Lake Center Park on the 23rd. So with my park assessments, what I do, I take inventory of the park equipment. Right now, a list of the accommodations that we have there, kind of benches, play equipment, swing sets, bathrooms, all that such. And then I construct ideas of what could be installed, given the space, given the time, given the money. And then I advertise the events that we put together. So I make flyers, we shoot promotional videos that we put on the Facebook page, and we also post on the Facebook page with extra flyers and everything to get people's attention more. Then I create programs to gain community involvement. So for instance, our first one's going to be our bike program that we're going to have this upcoming Saturday at the skate park. It's gonna, I'll get into that a little bit more, but basically it's just obstacle courses to teach safety for children. And finally, I gathered the feedback from the program attendees. So like this past weekend, I got some very good feedback from everybody who decided to come in and who would take time to give us their feedback, and I use that to move forward with the process of what we're doing next with parks. So this is how we have our events set up currently, and we're gonna try to use this template for all of them. It's going to consist of 3 tables. Our first table will have a poster describing the purpose of what we are attempting to achieve. So with this one, what I talk about is I talk about community feedback and why it's important. And then I move along to the equipment installation. I tell people that once they give us their feedback, we know what we want to install at that point. And then finally, community improvements. So we're kind of wanting to raise the morale of the area. One park at a time, and then overall, once all the parks are kind of done up, hopefully community morale will be much higher than it previously was. Table 2 will have boxes with pictures of each item that will be set up, and attendees will be given Monopoly money to be used for voting. So, like I said, this past weekend, we had our community event set up. There were boxes that had pictures of a Speaker One, monkey bars, a few other items. And everybody was given 3 Monopoly dollars, and they were told to put them in one of the boxes depending on what their vote wanted to go to. And then our third and final table has surveys for voters to fill out once they give us the feedback. The feedback, what we use is it gives people a chance to tell us what we did right, what we did wrong, what they would want to see that wasn't listed out. And once that's done, snacks are provided for everybody, so it gives them a little more incentive to come out and show a little bit of support for us. And then right there's my community poster again. So this was the North Side Park. These are what the ideas that I went through this past weekend. Tetherball ended with 11 total votes. Bike stand and repair stations, total of 14 votes. The Speaker won, total of 5 votes. Somersault bars, total of 4. And the water feature had over 20 votes. So that's our most popular right now. We're looking to hopefully do both a bike stand, repair station, and the water feature. Kind of just depends on restraints that we have. And the most requested item we got was programmable sports through recreation, which is again something I'm looking into currently. And also new playground equipment, such as big jungle gyms. So hopefully, I know some of the other parks got those replaced just a couple of years ago. So hopefully we can move forward about getting those replaced at the other parks as well. So here's a swimming pool park. We have the pool. Well, this event hasn't happened yet. These will be the items that will be voted on Saturday. It's the pool basketball rim, balance post, rubber mulch, new springers, and again, bike stands, repair stations. So these are all items that I've come up with after visiting the park, knowing that the pool needs something new. Maybe mulch be changed out. I've seen that be very popular in certain areas. And this is the event that we have. This will be my first program put together for these parks. It's the Bike Safety Rodeo. I'm partnering with Miss Lee Gibbons from the Department of Health for Texas. What she does is one of her main events she puts on is the safety rodeo for bikes. And she hands out guidebooks that show kids proper ways to watch for traffic, proper protection to wear, helmets, elbow pads. And then what we'll do is we set up an obstacle course with cones. That way kids learn how to cross driveways, look both ways for cars, stop at stop signs. And at the end, completion of the course, kids will be given snacks, again, more incentive for them to come out. And finally, I have the Kella Hill Park ideas, new backboards for the basketball court. Again, bike stand repair stations are really pushing hard for those. Baseball field lights, more accessible equipment for those who are disabled, and also painted and dirted baseball fields. When I drove by, I noticed that it was all just grass, and I used to actually work at a baseball complex. So I know that even the minor things like just having a dirted path for baseball really improves what people are wanting to come out and do, and kind of brings in more attention to it. So these are the current projects we have working up. Like I said, the bike rodeo safety that's coming up this next weekend. And then 2 weeks from then, we're going to have the storybook walk. We're partnering up with the library for that. Try to get more kids reading. I'm a big fan of educational programs. So getting kids out, getting kids to be able to read, I think that's really something that pushing hard is something good to do. And then finally, our last event will be the Lake Center, and I'm currently in talks with the Grassland Ranger, Lake New Mexico, for putting on a wildlife education program for children. We have some additional projects also, the skate park repaint and the downtown pocket park assessment. We have those in the works as well, and more information to come on those. And these are my end goals. Involve residents in park planning. We want to get as many people out and as active as they can in their community, especially with these programs. We want to improve city parks, quality of the parks. If you raise that, everybody's going to want to go to them a whole lot more, and it's just going to be a better overall situation for the city. Increase interest in park programming. So the programs like the bike safety rodeo, wildlife education, those are programs I hope to establish and have them come back repetitively. That way, more kids throughout the years can go and learn all this and establish a bike program. So not just the bike safety rodeo, but also putting bike repair stations, bike stands at all parks. Just trying to make the city a little more eco-friendly. If you make more efforts to kind of make it easier for them to ride bikes around, they're gonna be more likely to do it in the end. And that's my presentation.
Questions? Thank you, Garrett. moving on to number 6, presentation by staff of the city of Dalhart's record retention.
As a city secretary, one of my roles is records retention, which is a huge job. The department has their records and boxes and boxes and boxes, and so it's almost impossible for one person to go through every file and know. There are currently 13 different schedules that our departments in the city have to go by. So an example would be like board minutes. We have to keep those forever. Bank statements, we have to keep those for 5 years. Bond certificates, we have to keep those for 1 year. So every bit of paper and even digital documents have a schedule in which the city has to keep. So I have been speaking with RCI, it's Records Consultants, Inc. And what they do is they go through all the boxes and they label them according to if it needs to be destroyed, if it needs to be kept forever, or if it needs, we have 3 or 4 more years. I have just started with this building, but hopefully to expand that project onto the different departments with the city. So, yeah. Do you guys have any questions?
So do you want to talk about what the initiative is and how we've contracted for services and what the history of the records in the building is?
Yes, so in order to have a successful records management, it has to be, you have to know what's there. The guidelines are provided by the Texas State Library and Archives Commission, and so they give us the guidelines that we have to follow. We also have to provide documents to them. Certain things have to go, and there's no way one person can do that all. I mean, I can go through the boxes, but knowing every schedule for every document is almost impossible. So with Records Consultants Inc., they come in they're gonna be here 4 days. And they will go through all of the boxes. And it's a significant amount. I'm not sure that there's been a huge amount of records management in the past. However, to get on top of it, we have to take the initiative to tackle all we have right now. And then yearly, that becomes easier because you just have your yearly documents that we're looking at 150 boxes. There's a lot.
So do you know, do they scan these documents into a database for us and store them?
Yes,
Or
there's a database that will be by box. So they will label each box for us, whether they need to be destroyed or 5 years or however. So if we're looking for a document, we will be able to go into the database and say, okay, box 5 has this in it, or box 50 has this in it.
so just by box, so can they isolate down particular items that you're looking for or
They
by a
can,
search?
but the cost goes way up. So, another thing that I've looked at that is not in this initiative is birth certificates and death certificates. We have them back to the 30s, and the paper's falling apart. And so that's something that is part of records management as well. And it would be beneficial to scan those items in so that we don't lose them over time, because they're fragile.
Anybody have any
So
questions?
this will improve information retrieval.
It will lots of information. Like I said, there's a lot of boxes. I don't know what's in all of them. I've taken pictures and worked with this company. They will put them in their own boxes, so they will all be matching, where they'll store on the shelves in the basement, as opposed to just random boxes that say have something on the side of them.
And have you addressed in the past, when we addressed this situation, we understood that it's cost prohibitive on the relationship to the storage space?
I'm not understanding your question, however, the storage space, our storage space is fine.
I mean, digitalized.
Oh, yes, so it'll be in the cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really expensive, and that's when we upgraded our storage or data storage. That was one of the reasons we lost a lot of public access to the information. And so it would be cost prohibitive at this time to where we could go on. An example of being on the website, when you want to look at the agendas and the minutes of any board member involved out, we cannot get all of it because they had to downsize it to like 4 years now.
So
Right,
this is a separate cloud.
So it won't be a whole different,
No, it's this company's cloud. Is that the
Yes.
right way to say
Yes.
that?
it is the companies, and so say you came in one day and wanted the board minutes from 2004. I don't know that those are there, but it would be in our best interest. If they were there, we're gonna put them in the digital system, I can find them and then provide them for you.
you know, that answered the question because that was the issue at the time. We did not have enough cloud
Oh,
or anything
so
else.
it won't be on ours, it'll be
Separated
on.
a whole different
Because
ball game.
currently we just do, is it like a 3-year span or a 4-year span?
We went to 4 years. We've got it now, but I don't know if it's going to drop off on, especially on the council, but it's really in place because of the inquiry. It's just as contingent on the usage that we have on that. So since it's two separate deals, it
Mhm.
will not impact our
Yeah.
storage for daily operations.
Correct.
And that was the concern in the contract. Okay, thank you.
So just so everybody understands, this initiative is just for this building here. Excluding death and birth certificates, because that in itself is a huge, huge project.
Excellent.
Thank you, Christy. All right, item number 7, discuss and or act on Flying W Aviation's request to build a new hangar on the current lease. I think Clay is also here to speak as well with Joe.
Are you ready?
Floor is yours.
So basically, just as you know, this is an item that Clay has put a proposal in that he would like to build a hangar out there on his current lease at the airport. He's gone through the steps that we've requested him. He went and had a survey to make sure that the hangar will be built on land that's on his lease. He has presented with us some blueprints if you want to see them, a projected schedule, a liability for insurance. He will produce a letter of credit once it's approved. You want to make sure it's approved before he goes to the bank to get the letter of credit. Mainly because it costs him money, and that was one of the things we required. Any other questions you have? This was talked about, we presented, airport board. Basically, approve this for them to build a hangar, and that's where it's coming to you, but y'all have the final decision. If you have any question, you can ask Clay. Anything you need to
I'd
know.
like to entertain a motion.
Second.
I entertain the motion. We approve the Flying W Aviation request to build a hangar.
I believe we have a second, so a motion made from Dwayne and a motion from Gary for a second. Do I have all in favor?
Aye.
Standard
relation.
Thank you, Parker. Any opposition? Any nays? No. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to item number 8. Before I open this, I want to open up with saying that I would like to do a discussion on this first before it's opened up for any recommendations or to remove it from the table. So at the moment, I'm not going to take any motions, but I would like to, if there's any discussion from council, I would like to entertain that.
We have to put it back on the table.
We have to take.
No.
There's
No.
you can discuss it and or take it from the table. The recommendation from the Hotel Occupancy Tax Committee to provide funding from the Dalhart area to the Dalhart Area Chamber of Commerce. So the way this is reading, it reads like we can discuss it.
Oh.
Or take it from the table.
It has to be, you have to address the table before discussion.
Yeah, so it was tabled, we have to take it from the table and then discuss.
Okay, so then my next issue here with this would be that it says to approve funding to the Dalhart Area Chamber of Commerce. And it has with the recommended changes from the Hotel Occupancy Tax Committee. This was sent for research, but it wasn't sent to us to reapprove anything yet without a second agenda item is my issue with this.
We cannot discuss the topic unless it's removed from the table.
I would entertain a motion to postpone.
Make that motion.
Do I have all in favor?
All right,
Need a second?
second, Tom.
Oh, got
So
a
can you
second.
postpone it without?
So, if my understanding is correct, and feel free that if you postpone to a later date, this current motion that dies.
Yes, because this is recommending that we do this with the changes from the Hotel Occupancy Tax Committee to provide funding. So the changes were not what they were requesting is the issue. So if we move forward, what does that do? Can you let council know how that works?
If we move forward with what's on the agenda. So with what's on the agenda is Hotel Occupancy Committee met, Sammy and Kevin were there as the committee representatives, and they have made the recommendation to council to go to $80,000. So that's in the notes for the meeting is to go to $80,000. My understanding, and again, this is my understanding, that if you postpone this,
Do we have legal counsel?
We do.
it should be on.
What was it? What's his name?
Joey Delgado.
Joey?
Mhm.
Can you all hear me?
Joey, yes, we can hear you. Joey, my question is in regards to item number 8, if you have been listening. The item number 8 reads as follows: to discuss and or take from the table the recommendation with changes from the Hotel Occupancy Tax Committee to provide funding to the Dalhart Area Chamber of Commerce. And my question would be that in the last session, this was tabled to do research, not to bring about further changes. So can you recommend to the council how we would need to proceed if we can either open this and remove it from the table? Or can we discuss it prior or just have a discussion on it and not remove it from the table?
I think you could discuss the research findings and what was recommended. If that makes sense, you could, because as I understand it, what's on the agenda is what the advisory council was proposing.
Yes.
So you could discuss that. In terms of you guys wanted to act on it and approve, I think that would need to maybe be a different agenda item at the next meeting. Because just the way I understand it, there wasn't really an action on the agenda as much as just a, report from the advisory committee. So you could get that report and perhaps discuss it a little bit, but in terms of discussing next steps and taking action, and that would be more appropriate with that agenda item at a future meeting date. So
is that postponing it, or how do you propose that we do that?
Will it die?
Because the understanding and I don't want to speak for Christy, but the understanding of staff was that if you tabled it, it had to go on the next agenda item. And the thought process is that nobody wanted it to die because then it goes into Never Never Land. So if you
So,
table it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joey, that if you table it and don't bring it back, it dies. Is that correct?
that would be-
I mean, you can table something indefinitely. I know that's not like at least under Robert's rules, if that's what y'all kind of go by. It can be tabled indefinitely. You can certainly table it for the next meeting if you would like to. Both of those are at your option right now.
Okay, so looking back at the video earlier for last council session, the mayor had requested to table the item for further research and he did not give a date. So that also would count that we just brought it back into here, so we could still just, again, kick it forward and it's not a problem.
Yeah, you could again table unless, I mean, if you guys have enacted a specific rules around tabling motions,
No,
that might be different, but if it's the general Roberts is the guidelines or just general parliamentary procedure, you can indefinitely table. Setting a date probably would give y'all more certainty on when to decide to come to a vote. I think you have both options in front of you right now.
I guess, I think I have problems with the verbiage on the way this reads.
Okay.
That was my main thing is if we take it off the table and bring it up, so we can just discuss it, correct? And then we don't vote on this, it would have to be a new agenda item the next meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you want to approve it, the funding, and I think that'd be most appropriate. You
So
you
it would
guys
have to
could,
be a new agenda item?
yeah, because I don't think approving the funding is on the agenda right now, correct?
no.
That's not what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not
Yeah.
liking the verbiage. I'm having a problem with the verbiage on this.
You can untable it for discussion. And then you
But
can
yeah,
act on it.
I think you guys can discuss it right now. I just don't think we can act on it. You could act on it at a further date with the understanding of what the recommendation is from the further, investigation that was done between the last meeting and this meeting. Y'all could discuss it here. You could discuss the findings, you could discuss the recommendation, but I don't think it would be appropriate to, vote on approving because y'all could vote for the recommended amount, you could vote for an alternative amount. But I don't think that would be appropriate at this time. So.
Okay, so for me to move forward, what kind of verbiage would I need to make what kind of motion would I need from the council to move forward? If they decide that they just want to move it forward for a new agenda item.
You just need to remove it from table.
Move it from the table.
Just make a motion to remove from table, open up the topic, and then for discussion. You have to get it off the table before you can discuss it.
But then put it back on the table.
And then you can retable it or
Have
post
next one.
No, you wouldn't be putting it on the table again. It would just be we would need to have a
You
new
could table
agenda item next.
Yeah, however you wanted to handle it and postpone it.
So
to a future
we would be
date.
voting to take no action.
Yeah,
Well, I don't think we will be voting at all on this one.
unless somebody makes a motion, then you could address the motion if you want
But
action.
from councils, he said no voting on this. It's just untabling it and discuss. No action taken. It's just discuss. Is
So
what he recommends.
I think from our council, is that where I'm hung up, being crossed over in the untabling it? Does it have to be untabled?
Joey, that's us.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. At this moment, it's tabled, so you would move to discuss the findings, because then it would be untabled. And then, I mean, honestly, even next meeting, you could keep a discussion item and then follow it up with an action item to approve based on the discussion, right? So if you guys are worried about letting it die, maybe that would provide some certainty that, you could table it for next meeting to continue the discussion. You could have the discussion as an item on the agenda. Then you could also have the action of approving the recommended amount or approving an alternative amount on the next agenda as well. But to discuss it now, it needs to be untabled.
Okay.
The other council members are correct. So,
All right.
and
Thank you.
it could be retabled again for next meeting as discussed.
Or postponed or what action.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly,
Council decides.
exactly.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Joey. I appreciate that.
Not a
You
problem.
know-
Sorry. I just wanted to address the concerns and, we're not trying to not let it die or anything like that. So, yeah.
Okay. if
There
you
could
don't
be two
mind
agenda
hanging
items next week.
tight, yeah, okay. So I would entertain a motion to untable it for discussion.
I make a motion to remove from table the discussion of the hotel occupant tax in relationship to the Dalhart Area Chamber of Commerce.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So the discussion was there that this was listed inside of our minutes. My question is on the verbiage. I know that this is not up for debate to vote on it, but I can certainly voice these concerns. I think they have come back to us again and requested an additional amount, and I know that we have moved forward with having 80,000 on there. But I think there's still some concerns in regard to this, so I think it's up for council to discuss if they choose.
Which I mean, I know I still would like to see the packets set forth to hot tax. Like the original packets from like the chamber, or whoever. Usually we have those in our packets and we can look at them and see what they were requesting, what was gone through, what they wrote out. And I would still like to see those in our packets, in our agenda packets.
Yeah.
That way I can look, because I still don't know what the chamber has even asked for. Because I haven't seen it.
You can request those at any time.
No, I'm just saying though, I mean, that's what I would like to see because we've had this up twice now and I still haven't seen what they've even asked for. Because it's been, they've said 114, committee came with 73 last time. Then now we're at 80 and I still don't know what anybody's even asked for.
So there was a presentation by Bryce that
Yeah.
detailed,
It was in the packet,
it was
when
in
the amounts of the request and the dispersing the funds.
Wasn't in mine. This meeting, the previous,
It was the last one.
the previous meeting.
Yeah.
Previous meeting, I had zero to none from any of the hot
And
tags.
I can say the same for my packet. My packet just had the total.
Total amount, yeah, just like this right here, 80.
But as far as anything prior to that, and I do want to make a comment to this, that it does say that the city council will also need to approve the Dalhart Area Chamber of Commerce's 2024 budget prior to disbursement of funds. And I realize from the comments previous that the chamber has stated that they would provide that it was passed in their, I guess, and it was an emergency session on February the 2nd. And that was presented at a hot tax committee on February the 6th. I would like to see that before we move forward.
I would like to see it too, Ginger, because when I asked for the minutes from the meeting that it was approved, I was told it hadn't been approved yet. And then it was gonna be approved at the end of the month. So definitely could have been a miscommunication, but I do have an email from the president of the chamber saying that it hadn't been approved yet. So I didn't have the minutes for the approval. But I'm with you. I would love to see those as well.
So does the chamber have a set of minutes from that they could provide to council?
I don't have the minutes, I just have the, they did it was by email, so I just have the.
So can you vote by email for the chamber? I think it's whatever their guidelines are. I mean, I have certainly voted before in the past that way as being a former chamber member.
Is that what your bylaws say, is that you can vote by?
Yeah, it was, and it was done, yeah, it was done previously. That's.
So I guess this would also need to follow a set of minutes, if I'm correct in that, they would need to follow a set of minutes. So if that could be provided as well.
If I may, Mayor Spokane, If you would just go ahead and not have the discussion in relationship to this, make the list, to supply the staff what, each individual member of the council would like to see. And not go into what we've got and all that for future thing and then
I would agree.
move forward.
So is that motion?
I'm not making it a motion because I'm not making it a motion as that. I'm like waiting for the discussion here for the postponement or tabling for future action. Is what I'm looking for, what you're requiring. I make a motion, all right, you want a motion? I make a motion that we make a list of what the data and information that the council wants supplied to staff for presentation at the, appointed time decided by council.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Now you can go to discussion with the council on what they
Okay.
want.
Do I need to get everybody
So
in
the
agreement?
secretary can get the information that the council is requesting.
Is everybody in favor of the motion? There's been a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Okay.
You go to
So we can open it
Okay.
for discussion. On what the
We
council.
can
would like.
continue on with
Yeah.
the requirements because of the way the motion was made for accumulation of information. Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Okay. Parker, did you have something?
You've already had two, so
Okay. Did anybody have any other things that they would like to see?
if I may ask, you got the record of what, Councilman Hancock requested?
I'm not clear on what the records from the hot tax meeting.
So, okay, so whenever we usually have our hot tax agenda items, every like the chamber or strikeout cancer, they come out with their packet that they give to hot tax. Usually we're given that packet, so we can go through it also and look and see what all they were requesting, what they stated, anything they were asking extra, things like that.
All in the presentation. Yeah, it was in the presentation, but he wants the original.
Yeah.
So
everything packet that they give us.
In the minutes that he's requesting the original package from February 2nd.
No, just the original packet that was submitted
Yeah.
by the
Yes.
organization
Okay.
requesting funds.
To the hot tax committee.
Yes.
There's been a couple, we've had a couple back and forth, but I don't know if you want all of it. I can send it, you probably. There's been a couple, because.
I guess the latest one that you get is the final one that y'all gave to hot tax. Is what I-
The initial
Like in your head, or you?
request was made on, because it's.
Yeah.
I think yes.
My understanding is what you're doing is for all council.
Yes, okay, that's,
Specific
yeah,
ones.
I was just
My
making sure.
understanding.
Perfect.
Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Is gonna apply to everyone on council?
Yes, I think that would be great.
And if I would like to request, if possible, the email information and the, response by the staff on the hot tax, the communication between them requesting and seeing, for all of the data that they requested from
From the original
the
request.
original request, because the packet was not complete for, at the discretion of consideration.
Do you
And
all like the staff report on the findings from the last tabled item?
I would.
Okay, so when hot tax met originally,
So we're gonna give it,
we're not discussing.
we're not discussing it, we're gonna go
Yeah.
in a packet.
It's going to be used.
okay,
Yeah.
So that should be inclusive of, we got this, we got the request and what the data is compliance to the request under the state laws of Texas in relationship to hot tax disbursement. Then when you have that in place, then they can have the checklist and then we can be informed
Yeah.
of each step that was complied to that and the decision process of, if they wanted the minutes of the discussion of the hot tax, how that falls into the laws that are implied.
Right.
And a lot of the request in the original packet was not received in a timely manner and this sort of thing. And it's like that. So it's all of the communication in relationship to staff requesting additional information and compliance of that request. That was an issue that was brought forward, it was brought forward in the last meeting and that sort of thing. So it's not So it's just all of the things that led up to the decision-making process. I'm asking.
Right.
Y'all,
No, yes,
they based their decision on.
right.
I
Confused
would
me.
personally like to see the communication. Another thing that I think council members could use is the hotel tax two-step PDF that outlines, and it's something that council can, at their discretion, go look at. But I think that in updating how expenses are to be reported, and the process and procedures of that is important for all the council to see so they can make a decision. I know that in the past, we had an educational seminar from the comptroller's office, and it provided the PDF. But that outlines those regulations, and it does specifically call out chambers and tourism. So that'll kind of give you, the council, an idea. Some of you guys were not on council when we received that education from the comptroller's office. So I think it'd be beneficial for all council members to have that in hand before making a decision. So, and if we need to guide the way for that document, I can certainly send that over. Is there any other discussion?
I'm concerned at this point about the reflection on if we're going to address the recommendation, not at this time, but the recommendation of the committee's recommendation, are we trying to supersede their recommendation?
I think that's too much background to call out any one council member to answer that, because either answering that one could look a certain way, or two, it's a vote, and I would rather not put that out on the table.
Well, it's just the point of it is that we're looking at recommendations of the committees and the board.
Right.
We have the authority to supersede that, but how ingrained does the council want to get into that? That's just.
Right. I just wouldn't want to perceive that we were making a vote on this particular topic.
I wasn't requesting a vote.
No, but presumptions are everything.
I think this one for me came down to is whenever the original signer of asking for the money comes up and says, hey, I know this is what's being requested, but this is why we were requesting more. And then I didn't feel like we had enough information. And so that's why I want that information so that we can make an informed decision. And that's why I think this one's more involved than what we usually do, because the other ones, we didn't have that problem. Because we didn't have them coming up saying, yeah, this is why we needed this money. And y'all aren't allowing us to have this money. So I think this one's a little more informed and a little more digging should be involved. That's why I'm trying to find out.
Frankie, did you have something to say?
Well, in looking at this and what's going on at this moment with this one particular thing with this, why have a committee? Because you're overriding everything that they're deciding. The committee is nominated or appointed, whatever you want to say, and approved by the council. We put our dependence, our faith in what their knowledge and what they do. They presented something. Okay, it needed to be changed. They went back to the committee. The committee comes forward. Now, I've got to agree a little bit with the verbiage here on this. It's not quite the way it should be. But in undermining the committee is exactly what I see here on why happen. What are you going to do to them? To me, sit there and do that, second judge me. Why spend my time doing that? Really and truly, why spend my time doing that? That's all I got to say.
Are you requesting presence of the committee? Because
I think it,
Frankie's
I
right.
want to be here.
I think it would be helpful, and
Frankie's right. I mean, they did the vetting, they did all of it. And they came up with a recommendation. So at the end of the day, and they've been business owners for, my God, decades in this community. So, and they've been on this committee over 2 years. I mean, I can't speak for the length of time that they've been on the committee, but way before I've been here. So they have way more knowledge.
I think there was other considerations that came in with this that made the questions, that at the moment are not suitable to backtrack into. So I think it would be good to recommend for the committee to be present.
The only question I have at this time is, since we are addressing this and we are not addressing the available funds, we have no available funds to go over what we're doing. The council has already approved disbursements, all of the funds up to the remaining $6,000.
Well, I think again, there's questions backtracking into that probably need to be an agenda item is the issues for that. So
But what is the outcome of this?
Hopefully to get them funded. Is it not?
Where's the money gonna come from?
No, but I'm saying at whatever amount,
let's go back to
whatever
the
amount is
point
to
of,
get it passed.
point of
Is what I'm
order.
saying. That's the ultimate goal,
Yeah.
is to get them funded at an amount. Correct?
Of available funds.
But that's what I'm saying. That's the ultimate goal. Right? I'm just saying, I think an informed decision. That's all I'm saying. A better informed decision. I didn't feel like I was informed last time as well as I needed to be. And so that's why I recommended us putting it on the table. And I still don't feel like I've been informed enough. So that's why I'm also asking for more information. So that we can make an informed decision and grant them whatever amount that we grant them. But that is informed by the council.
Any further discussion? Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. All right.
So you're gonna.
Do we need to,
We remove from table. So you're gonna have to take it back to where you want to go with it and on the time frame you want to go for. Do you want to table it again? To return it to staff, staff? Do you want to postpone it to a particular time frame?
I would entertain a motion to postpone this.
Did you not table it
Agenda
already
item.
with your motion?
No, I removed the table. That's my motion.
From table, and then he made a motion on granting access to what every council member needed. And then that was seconded and passed.
And so
So now we're on to what we need to, what we need to do to make it an action item.
Yeah.
Is what we need to do now.
On time frame. So we put the
Yes.
requirements in, that's.
Yes.
that's part.
So I guess that would be a question for staff on how long would it take to get us that information?
Not long.
Not long? And be able to get a hold of the board.
The only thing we don't have control over is the availability of the members of the hot tax committee. That would be the only, the question right now, is their availability. So the only thing I can say is, would you be comfortable tabling for either the next meeting or the meeting after that, depending upon availability of the hot tax committee?
So if we do. Obviously, we can't pull funds from thin air. So. Trying to think about how to word this.
There's no extra money. You would have to go into reserves. If that's the question you're asking from, is how would you fund? You would fund out of reserves if you were going over what was outside of budget.
I make a motion, we table action on item 8, to file thing to be addressed within the next 30 days from the councilman. If you want a date, will be the next available date in, give them 30 days.
So 30 days would allow for. So 14 days would allow for February 26th. And then you would go into March 11th, which would be 28 days.
And I can put into the motion if staff recommendation that if they're available on the next meeting, then we have the option to put it on the agenda, but postpone it until, or table it until the 11th of March. Is that
Table or postpone?
to March 11th?
You guys can postpone indefinitely if you would like. Until it's possible to put it on the agenda.
So we can postpone, it doesn't have to be tabled.
Correct.
It could be postponed indefinitely and you wouldn't have to set a date otherwise. If you don't want to have to set a particular date, you can postpone indefinitely at this time until you would know a better date. To bring
That's what
it
we need
back.
to make, that's why we need to make the motion.
I'm gonna make a motion to rescind my motion, and if y'all accept that, then I make the motion.
It
to-
wasn't seconded, so I think
Okay.
it dies.
I rescind my motion on tabling. Make a motion, we postpone action on item 8 on the disbursement of that to a future date.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Number 9, discuss and or act upon a contingent fee contract with Purdue Brandon Felder Collins and Mott LLP under section 552.001B of the Texas Local Government Code. Said contract being for the collection of delinquent utility accounts owed to the city of Dalhart, and notice of said contract is posted with the agenda by section 2254 of the government code. That's probably for us, but anyway. Do we have anybody presenting that or,
That would be me.
okay, would you like to?
So we currently have, for the past 5 years, the city has accumulated over $100,000 in outstanding utility debt spread over about 900 accounts. So presented to you today is the option of contracting, and I'll just say Purdue Brandon for lack of saying the full name all the time. For contracting with them to collect outstanding debt. What they do is take any debt over 60 days, go out with letters and pursue that debt. Right now, just rough numbers, if the city received 20%, that would be $20,000 they didn't have before. There is a 30% fee, so it's being presented to council both ways. So take me as an example, if I owed $100, it could be, if we tacked on the fee, it would be $130, just similar to any late fee, anything that you've seen. Or council's also being presented with the option of taking it out of the $100. So the city would only receive the $70. When I spoke with the mayor, he wanted me to present it both ways. So council had the option of which way that they would like to go if you want to pursue this option at all. If you don't want to pursue this option at all, at one point, the city's finance director will come to you to approve writing off the debt because we're carrying it and it's a liability. So something for council to consider.
So can we, this is maybe off the wall, as the billing states right now that the bills citizens receive, are we allowed to tack on that extra 30% for collection fees?
So it would be,
Since they're past, like.
it would be tacked on when Purdue Brandon sends out the letter.
Okay,
It's not what the city does. So in essence, this is our version of someone who would collect on behalf of, if that makes sense. So they're collecting on behalf of,
okay,
because it's outstanding debt and you want that, they're an attorney firm, but again, I would also make the argument that they only receive the fee on what's collected. So for instance, if they sent out letters for $100,000 and did all of this follow-up to achieve getting that back, if we got back nothing, we owe them nothing. So they only get the 30%
What's collected.
of what's collected. And they also, which I found this to be accommodating. So let's say, take me as example, I owe $100 and I can really only afford to do a payment plan. The person, myself, can come into City Hall having received this letter and can work with staff to be on a payment plan. So there is that option should that arise.
The money that's in delinquent, the utilities or whatever have been shut off to these people, all we're trying to do is
They're
collect,
the link, yes,
trying to collect the money.
correct.
They're not accumulating any more debt or anything like that.
Basically, his term, excuse me if I may, didn't you, closed account?
Right.
Right. So this is all over the past 5 years, debt that has never been collected.
Non-active count,
Right,
non-active.
so
account.
mostly people that have maybe moved.
Quite possibly, but I will tell you, just briefly digging into this, there's also some companies. So with some higher bills, just for it's not just residential,
Right.
it's commercial as well.
But if they didn't pay it in the first place, what's passing this letter from the law firm gonna make them? Does it give them legal action to go after them, get this money?
We can pursue it on behalf of the city. Right now, I can't do anything, but if council allows for this to move forward, the Purdue Brandon can pursue on behalf of the city. And just to give you a little idea, Pursue Brandon also works with our collections for court fees. So they have a relationship with the city already.
So you just mentioned if they come in and want to take care of their account. And have payment arrangements with the city, does that still also include that 30%? Are we?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because it will be an action taken because they received a letter.
Right.
It's not because they just felt like today I was gonna pay.
I'd like to entertain a motion that we accept the contingent fee contract with Purdue with the added on fee to the bill.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
So we'll get to the next. They're just doing they won't.
Any opposed? All right, number 10. Discuss and act upon the written findings of agenda item 12 that includes a contingent fee contract with Purdue and Brandon, Elder Collins and Mott.
So I have to, we have to just read that part and I'm just read it if you don't want to. But that's their kind of thing, is that you have to do the written findings. So pursuant to section 2254.1036B of the government code, hereby finds the following to be true. There's a substantial need for the legal services specified in said contract. These legal services cannot adequately be performed by the attorneys and supporting personnel of the city of Dalhart. And these legal services cannot reasonably be obtained from attorneys in private practice under a contract providing only for the payment of hourly fees without regard to the outcome of the matter, because of the nature of the matter for which these services will be obtained, or because city of Dalhart does not have funds to pay the estimated amounts required under a contract providing only the payment of hourly fees. Then you have to act upon that.
I make a motion that we accept as stated, item 10 of the contract. We approve the contract, or however it
The
needs.
written findings.
Written findings.
Written findings.
There's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Okay.
Have a second. All in favor?
Uh,
Any opposition? Motion carried. Number 11. Consider and act upon ordinance 2024-4 on providing a fee to defray the cost of collecting delinquent utility accounts receivable for the city of Dalhart.
I entertain a motion, we act on ordinance 2024, providing a fee to pay cost of collecting the as stated.
A motion, a second, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 12. Consider and act upon the recommendations from the Planning and Zoning Committee and conduct the first reading of ordinance 2024-2 to rezone Lot 2, Block 2, Tanglewood Park, City of Dalhart, Dalham County, Texas, from R3 residential to special use for the purpose of placing a manufactured home.
Make a motion, we open the first reading of ordinance 2024-2.
I have a
Second.
motion, I have a second, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Representing back in January 29th, we had a meeting that was held with the planning and zoning board for rezoning to Oakwood from residential R3 to special use. Basically, manufactured use.
Yeah, could you speak up a little bit?
During the meeting of planning and zoning, it was recommended by them, for planning and zoning board, that one manufactured home be placed on that lot. The city ordinance, 40-38 under 3B, it does state that only one manufactured home can be placed on, a single family, or sorry, on one lot for a single family home, as long as the requirements of 6,000 square feet are met within that lot. Berryman did present a layout of a new manufactured home, which is gonna be a double wide 30 by 76. In the size, if you'll turn to page 78. For reference. The manufactured home layout does show 8 bedroom living quarter. Per the layout, it is assumed that it would be for group living quarters, which for ordinance or zoning in for code, it is only allowed for special use on agricultural for open space.
So to help you all on that, so in your packet on page 78, there's a layout of the proposed mobile home to move in. And if you look at that layout, it's an 8 bedroom mobile home. And those will be considered, the intent to be considered a
Page 78, here's just easier.
a group camp type deal, so that would require a code to enforce that we maintain the occupancy of single family. Furthermore, if you look on that, doesn't exactly follow the rules of single family because there's like washer and dryer hookups or anything like that in that mobile home provided.
And what are you asking from council today?
So council basically have two options. One, they can move forward on this and get the variance to give us the rest of the maps and stuff based on this provided drawing. Or council can ask that the variance provide a more suitable single family dwelling to go on that lot.
What was the consensus or the discussion in planning and zoning?
So planning and zoning didn't see this trailer. The original packet that came to planning and zoning was putting 2 mobile homes on the lot. And that doesn't meet our square footage, so that meet all our rules. So with that, they recommended that they bring just one, and the variance have presented this between planning and zoning.
So just, you tell me if, so they were requesting to be able to add 2. Planning and zoning said, hey, we're recommending that you're able to add 1, okay? But for council to look at, planning and zoning was not given, hey, this is the option of what we want to install, right? It was just 1 lot or 2, be able to install 2 or 1. Planning and zoning is recommending to council the ability to install 1, and when staff asked for further information about what does that 1 look like, this is the information that staff received.
The reason of that was to keep this moving forward, so the way this move. Because we have 2 readings, we have the ability to, as long as everything's up to par about the way y'all want it in reading 2, it gave the variance some time to get us what we needed, what council wanted to look at when it came to second reading. Instead of having to wait it further.
Can council request it goes back to planning and zoning to approve whatever mobile home is on there?
If they can.
Okay, so you have 3 options. You have kick it to planning and zoning to approve the mobile home option or request a different option.
Or, yes, or approve the picture, yeah, the layout, yeah. And then we'd have to give some more maps. So
If I may, Mayor, interject some more thing. There has previously been, they went to the Board of Adjustments and there is a very, and received, ability to set, not comply with the variances of our ordinances. But there is not indicating what that variance is in relationship to placing it on it. So, and so to move that along, the thing is that code department needs time to look over the actual thing, and you'll notice in the packet, a lot of documentation is there. I believe staff is recommending that we could either address it and let staff develop it, or send it back to planning and zoning so they can approve the conditions of it is. Because that is what, okay, I'm not gonna go into a motion at this time, but it's just, there's a lot of data and information that code department and planning and zoning needs to be exposed to on that. So if, sure.
We haven't received it from the parents.
So
Kinsey's here. I mean,
So this unit is a HUD approved unit. It is the same size as a regular double wide. There is a place for a washer and dryer in this unit. So basically it meets, I think, all the requirements. Our setbacks would be the same as what was required when we went through trying to get the two lots, as this is the same depth on the lot as a single wide would be. It's just a little bit wider, but that gives 15 foot on each side of the mobile home between the next neighbor. So other than it just being 8 bedrooms, but it is a HUD approved mobile home, the size of a double wide.
So per the drawing we received, there is not any water and dryer hookups marked on.
There is, it's just really tiny and it says optional.
Yeah,
Okay, that's all.
I'm not sure.
It's very tiny.
Okay,
Kind of
so
next to me.
the other.
There's actually two spots.
That would require
There.
heavy policing from code department to make sure that stays single family and not.
That's my concern is you're putting this many people in this many bedrooms. Are they all coming in individual vehicles or are you bringing them there?
No, it's hard to say.
You know, how many you gonna have?
The definition of single family are very strict. There's, I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but there's rules on what a single family entails. We have to make sure that's being followed.
we're not
You
making.
do that in
You
one
just-
spot, you're gonna have to do that in every house around town.
down, pretty much, like, we can go ahead and pass, go ahead and let this reading go
You-
through,
you-
and then staff and code enforcement get with Ms. Berryman and
There-
then figure out everything and
I don't believe there is a problem with the number of bedrooms. But the situation of it is single family residence, and there are ordinances on the books, what states a single family. A single family by definition.
Right.
So you can have, but they all have to be blood and the requirements of that. So you could have all of these and the code allows 2 people per bedroom, all of this sort of thing. But it is a single family. So it all has to be tied together. So with the comment, how many we rent out, that was just a thing of it is a larger, it's a situation, I forgot the term right off the bat there, so public. The group housing, yes, group housing is what it applies to when you shift over to that. And you cannot have group housing in a single family residence under the R rate, yes. So you could, an individual could approve this, but then that's where it falls over to the code department, who's got to watch that it's a single family or they're in violation.
right, so that's, I guess what I'm saying is if we go ahead and move this one forward, then by the second one, the second reading, Mrs. Berryman will have needed to provide more information.
Yes, you could, close,
Need a site.
you could close the first reading
And then we can,
with acceptance and recommendation.
okay,
If however, the motion is made. With second
Is
reading.
there a minimum or maximum number of bedrooms that we can or cannot do?
There is not.
I don't think that's what they're saying. They're saying is you said that whoever you rent out to, and they were saying this is a single family home. Is what
Correct.
you,
I understand. I just didn't know if there was a reason that you couldn't have 8 bedrooms. Or is it
No.
just because it looks suspicious?
I just stated that. I just stated that. Excuse
I
me.
mean, if you can get a 3-story mobile home, I mean, you can put it on there, you know? It's just single family home.
So it would, basically what you're identifying is that would be a lease agreement between one individual. Am I correct, and not
Multiple.
two individuals, three individuals, or possibly eight?
All the single family.
Long as it falls under the single family guidelines.
So for us to continue and let this happen, we need to,
We have no
we need to
discretion
close
about how they sublease it or anything like that, as long as it falls under the guidelines of,
single family home.
yes.
That's where an enforcement code would go moving forward, is making sure that it's staying in single family.
Just make the recommendation with your exceptions, if that's, you want to make that motion, I think.
I'd entertain a motion.
Okay, I make a motion, we close the first reading of ordinance 2020-4, with, referring to staff on the, as stated. And basically return it to, make the motion, we return it to planning and zoning.
Or you mean to plan?
Planning zoning, or are we gonna leave?
No, I'm gonna take that up, yeah, I'll just, we
Just
send it to
ask.
staff for the second reading and all this required information, full complete packet and that on the second reading. So all I'm doing is just basically closing it.
Yeah, second that.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Right.
No opposed? Motion carried.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, thank you.
This is a-
No, he's holding,
We-
hold on. Let it die. Let it die. Gary had something.
Did we do it?
You can't, you cannot.
I'm not.
There's not a
There's
agenda
nothing
item.
on the agenda, can be put on
You can request to put something on the agenda, but you cannot bring it into council session.
Did you make a motion?
I don't think we've adjourned. so
We have
just-
not adjourned.
We have not adjourned.
I don't think we've adjourned, so.
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We're adjourned.
Now we're adjourned. Wait for the, we turned off the house.
Let's-
Second.